part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey.
What's up?
We're back. Another episode of the Ball Card Show brought to you by the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm Jason.
I'm Gary.
This is the Sports Podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
We're glad you're listening in.
You always freak me out because you go down this path when we intro, and I'm never sure exactly where you're going to go. I know what my responses are supposed to be, but I don't know what's actually going to come out of your mouth in what order, so I'm just like...
I'm trying to develop you.
Oh.
So, as a former collegiate athlete, one of the things that they would train you on, well, really it started in T-ball, but the ball's coming to you, and you need to be in the defensive ready position at all times. And sometimes they catch you on your heels, and then that little floater goes right over the third baseman. You're probably a first baseman. No, probably a pitcher.
I was a pitcher.
Nothing
really
but
bad
junk.
one.
Nothing but
Oh,
knuckleballs and
Nothing-
slurves.
Nothing but heat, and nobody knew where it was going at all. I was the most dangerous person ever to put on mound in high school. It was terrible.
Like Henry Roland Gardner without the arm.
No, I had the arm.
Oh,
it was
really?
Scary.
What kind of heat? What are we talking? High school speeds?
Mid to high 80s.
80s?
Yeah.
Bro, that's JUCO speed, son.
Yeah. The problem is it was just as likely to bounce 6 feet in front of the plate as it was to go over the backstop or behind the batter.
Or into their head.
Nobody had a clue where it was going.
Yeah.
Coach was like, I didn't want to play because I knew it was going to be bad.
Did you ever think about taking a little bit off of it?
I didn't know how.
It's like your golf swing.
I didn't know how. I just reared back and let it go, and nobody knew. It's terrifying.
I'm roasting you already, but
It's all good.
I want to celebrate you a little bit. I
What's
just want
that?
to jump right into it.
Okay.
A lot of times people go to card shows and they have big expectations of what they're going to do. And most of the time you get halfway through, you're like, yeah, everything's ridiculously overpriced. You really have to work to do well at a card show, and I'm proud of you.
Well, I think the assumption that people have is that the price that is on a card in a showcase is the actual price of the card. It is not.
Yep.
It's a starting point. Now, some dealers, it is the price.
Yeah.
And, that's the way that it is. One thing I will tell you will be very helpful to you if you go to card shows, especially when you're dealing with those dealers that look like they're in their mid-60s and have been doing this for 50 years. Do not, whatever you do, pull out your phone and start looking up eBay comps. They will instantly shut down on you. They're not interested in the comps. They have a card. They have a price on it. They're happy for you to make an offer. But if you look at them and you say, hey, the most recent comps most of them are immediately going to go GTFO. Now, the younger dealers, that you can get away with that stuff. But the older guys, that's not a game you want to play. A lot of those older guys won't even take Venmo or Cash App or PayPal. You better have cash. One of the dealers that I bought those 3 boxes of...
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Let's back it up.
Back it up.
I get a call. Saturday?
Sunday. I went on Mother's Day.
Bro, on Mother's Day, went to the card show.
Krista went to church in the morning, and I didn't have anything else to do, so I went to the card show.
So he's like, I just killed it at the card show. So just explain what you took in, what you left with.
I took my small slab case. I've got a small yellow slab case, holds about 150 slabs, and I had probably 8 or 10 mid to high-end raw cards in there as well.
What's mid to high-end value-wise for you?
Anywhere from 75 to 300.
Okay.
I didn't take any raw stuff that was heavier than that. And I just went around the show. It was nice because it was Mother's Day, so it was a little bit dead. If I had gone on Saturday, it would have been a zoo. It's a lot harder to develop relationships with a dealer at a show when there's 6 other people that are vying for their attention. When you go on a day that's towards the end of the day or on a day like Mother's Day, it's a little slower, so you can do a little bit better. But the first table I went to, I saw those 3 87 Tops rack cases, and they were
And the
pure
rack cases
factory.
were the cellophane.
Yeah, they're the three pack. They were the old school hangers, and you could see the top cards and the back cards.
And Bonds is the big one in there, right?
Bonds, Jackson,
yeah.
McGuire, Barry Larkin. Those are the major ones. The Tops traded set that year is what had Maddox.
Can you hit Tiffany out of those?
No.
ones? Okay.
So Tiffany was its own special collector set. It was only available as a set, and Tops usually made anywhere between 5,000 and 8,000 of those sets every year. You can tell Tiffany, everybody will tell you that it's like different stars in the back corner and stuff. It's not. Just look for glossy. If it's super glossy that looks like a modern glossy card, and the back is also somewhat glossy, the colors are a little brighter, it's probably Tiffany.
Yep. All right, first table.
First table, the rack boxes, guy had a price on them. I thought it was a little heavy, and he looked like he wanted a deal. So I made an offer about 30% under what he had him at, and he took it. But he was a guy who didn't take Venmo or Cash App or anything else. So thank goodness the dealer right next to him is a guy I know, and he heard me negotiating with the guy, and he went, well, just send me Venmo. I'll give him cash.
Oh, there you go.
So it worked out good. And then I went right over to him, and that's where I picked up the Jordan Alvarez pink PSA 10. He ended up trading me that and some cash for an SGC 10 Anthony Volpe Mojo. So I walked away from that with the Alvarez PSA 10 pink refractor from Chrome and some cash. Went to the next building after I stopped and talked to a couple other dealers that I know for a while. Went into the next building and went up to a table. I had never seen the people before. It was a father and a son. The son was younger, probably 12 or so. Big baseball fan, so we got to talking prospects, and that was really cool. The kid was digging through my box because they wanted to see what I had.
Yeah.
And he pulled out a couple of cards. He wanted nothing huge. His dad was just going to buy them for him, and then his dad saw a slab in there that was like $100 slab, and he wanted it. He said, well, what can we do? So I found that Freddie Freeman rookie auto, Bowman Chrome rookie auto.
Not an easy card to find.
No, not especially raw.
Clean, yeah.
Yeah, clean raw. And so I traded those 3 slabs for that card. I was really happy, and they were really happy, so everybody was good. I don't know. I think I probably came out ahead on the value side of it, but as far as what they liked and wanted, everybody was happy. And my final stop was at a table with a couple of younger dealers, and they had that Bo Bichette, and I'm pretty high on Bo Bichette. I think that he's a guy that long-term is going to have a 15-year career. He's going to be a career 280 to 290 hitter. He's going to hit 350 home runs. He's going to have 1,200 RBIs. Like, that's who he's going to be. He's a borderline Hall of Fame type guy if he can get his hit count up. And there was a set released his rookie year, Bowman Chrome X. It was a Stock X exclusive. And I picked up his green X Fractor PSA 10 numbered to 31. And there's no comps on it at all. I don't think there's been one sold. The closest comps that are out there are for a HGA 9.5, which most people treat as about raw, and those are around $400. So my guess is it's a $1,200 card.
Nice.
And I traded. What did I trade for that? I traded a SGC 9.5 Jalen Hurts Fire and Ice out of Phoenix, numbered to 50. I traded a CD Lamb SGC 9.5 Donruss die cut to 75. I traded 2 or 3 other raw cards. Altogether, I had a value on the stuff I traded of about $550. And I took the cash that I got from the Volpe deal and added it to it and walked away with the bow. So altogether, I had $50 total out of my pocket and probably 7 or 8 cards. And I walked away with a big boy Bo Bichette PSA 10, a Jordan Alvarez pink refractor, and that Freddie Freeman auto. It was a good day.
And 87 tops.
Oh, yeah, and those 3
Don't
cases of
forget the
87
wax.
tops, yeah.
Well, only thing I opened, we just opened
Your
10 minutes
89
ago.
set? Yeah.
89 Bowman complete set. I forgot that I still had it sealed up there, and I hadn't opened anything as we were prepping for the show, so we just ripped it open. And the Griffey's gradable. I
It's
think
pretty
it'll be
clean.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. It's probably no worse than a 9. Just
Yep.
eyeballing it. I haven't seen it under a scope, but just
It's
eyeballing
a
it.
fun set. It's a really fun set.
I just remember when it came out. And it was a big deal when it came out because nobody had made Topps hadn't made Bowman since the late 50s or early 60s. And when it came out, it was a big deal. It was an expensive set for the time. I think packs were $1 a piece, which, considering just regular Topps that year, packs were like 38 cents or 35 cents a piece. It was like
Yeah.
big deal. So, yeah.
Nice. All right, let's jump in. We got some hobby news. We want to get right to it.
Yep.
PSA is causing a little ruckus. They're talking about opening up more widely this $50 member option for cards. How is this different from what was happening?
So until this new announcement, and they haven't given a hard date for this yet, they're just saying it's coming. At least I haven't seen a hard date for it. If one of you guys has, please let us know on Facebook and chime in. But for a while now, they have had a $50 level open for members, but it's been on a lottery system like HGA used to be. So they would open it up. There's this many available. You get in the waiting room. You're allowed to submit however many at a time, 4 or 5, I think was the max. And that was it. Well, now they're talking about opening that level up wide open for members only. And I think membership's like $150, $160 a year. It's still $50 a card. So nobody should be sending in like base paper Bo Bichette's or, base paper John Morant's or anything like that. Yeah. Oh, the salt over Aquino is crazy. I actually watched a YouTube documentary about Aristides Aquino last week. It was a whatever happened to, and it's been
still
so
happening.
long.
The story's not over.
Well, it's pretty close to over. It's been so long since he was crazy good, but man, they showed all the highlights from his first month up.
Murdering the ball.
19 home runs in his first month up. Like, people were throwing stuff around his ankles, and he was just like oppo field 400 footers. And then all of a sudden, everybody was like, "Oh, this dude can't hit a curveball." The end.
All curveballs.
A slider, curveball, any kind of junk. Nothing. Nobody's thrown him a fastball since.
It still hurts. And I'm holding out hope. But anyway, PSA's offering that. The membership's what, like $100 to $200 somewhere in there?
Yeah, somewhere in that. You pay that a year. You don't get anything for that other than the ability to do this.
Are they advertising a turnaround time yet, or
not that I've seen?
Okay.
Not that I've
It'll
seen.
be interesting because it's not going to be quickly.
No, it's not going to be quickly. I would think that it'll probably right now. From what I've heard from people, because I refuse to submit cards to PSA just on an ethical basis. But
yay!
I just think the way they do business is trash.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
I'll still submit.
Yeah, take my ethics to
take
the
your
grave.
what?
My ethics.
What are we taking? Where are we taking it?
My ethics and to the grave.
Wow. If there's anything I've ever known you for, it's your ethics.
Absolutely. If not that, at least my stubbornness.
I had a friend in college that said this. My loyalties are flexible.
Mine aren't. Once I make a decision, I'm there. And PSA went into the trash can folder a while back.
Yeah, I don't feel the same way as you. I definitely have frustrations with them, but I do think at $50, you're gonna have to be somebody that's committed to. I'm somebody that grades several cards through PSA for it to be worth that, and their cards need to be worth it. Do your research. What's it going to be if it 10's out? What's it going to be if it's a 9? What's going to happen if it's an 8? Is it
and you
got to
be really prepared for the fact that you might send them the cleanest card you've ever seen, and you'll get a 7 on it because they don't give a crap.
Yeah, I don't feel like
they
that.
don't give you any explanation for why they graded it what they did.
Yeah, I think they give a crap. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move right on. A couple of releases. I'll do the first one because I'm really excited about it.
Okay.
I get into a lot of breaks of this product because it is gorgeous and it's a little pricey for what you get. There are some pretty big hits in there, but visually, this is probably one of the prettiest releases. It is Topps Tribute.
Yep.
Big fan of it. They always have a huge, extensive list of vet autos. You get, 3 patches, 3 autos per box?
Yep.
In 6 packs? Yeah, because
it's
you
6
have
packs. It's a hit in every pack.
You're in that $400 to $500 range on a box, so it's pricey. You're going to get beautiful cards, and they're going to have those guaranteed hits, but there might be 3 Rod Carew autos.
Well, the thing that's tough about that product...
Nothing against Rod Carew. It's just there's
No.
certain vets that are so stacked.
And
in
I
there.
agree, it's a beautiful product. The problem I have with it is just that the market itself doesn't seem to like the product. So Topps sells this. It's an expensive product for what you're getting. I mean, you're basically paying about $10 a card.
Yeah.
And the stuff, like I've seen raw. We were talking about Bo Bichette, so I'll use Bo Bichette as an example. I saw a raw Bo Bichette rookie auto out of that to 99, sell for like $90.
Well, and here's part of the reason that happens, which I still love this product. This is one where I just love it, so I'm going to do breaks. I'm not buying a case of this. I'm probably not even buying a box. But it's a thicker card. It's a chromium card. So you're going to have tough grades on surface edges, and just by the thickness of it, it's a tough one to send off for grading. You don't see a lot of them 10 out just because the edges are going to have a tendency to be pinched, kind of smushed in there. I don't know a better word for it, but Topps Tribute is coming out. I think it's a gorgeous card. If you're getting into a Topps Tribute break, my recommendation would be get into a case or multi-box. You can easily lose if you get into some of these small groups that have one box breaks of it, just be prepared not to get anything and definitely go randoms on it.
I would even go so far as to say jump on eBay, because you're not going to find this on Facebook very much. But one of the things I like about those type of products, I've been doing it with Bowman too lately, is you can find guys that are doing player breaks.
Yeah.
What's cool with player breaks is it's going to be much cheaper. And if you get skunked, it doesn't hurt as bad.
If you do that, back to what I was saying, go case. Don't do
Don't do a single box. Do a case player break for sure. But like Bowman player breaks have been pretty cheap. Like I was telling you the other day, I got in and I got John Kenzie Noel, who is a prospect that I'm pretty high on. I got John Kenzie Noel in a quarter case hobby break for $20, and I hit his refractor auto. So
nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Yeah. The trade-off on the Bowman products with that is you're not getting teams. So Bowman, you can kind of cover your butt because you get some of those firsts. If you're in players, that's really all you're going for. But for the price point, what you could hit, it makes it a little interesting. Another release to talk about, NT Football National Treasures. How you feeling about it?
At $4,000 a box, I'm feeling like I'm passing on it.
So randoms would split out to what? You're better at math than me.
30 teams, you're $150 a spot.
And that's at
There's
cost.
8 cards in a box. Realistically, you're probably more like $190 to $200 a spot.
Yeah.
At breaker prices, and there's 8 cards in a box. So at a minimum, 26 people are going to get skunked. It could be 28 or 29 because I've seen those boxes with 3 from the same team in it.
If you hit a whale out of there.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a house.
A difference between, both products, Topps Tribute and NT, are not easy breaks to hit in, especially if it's not a full case. Huge difference between National Treasures and Topps Tribute would be that National Treasures does have a ton of massive cards for you to hit. Topps Tribute is going to be a lot of the mid. What were you calling it earlier?
Mid-tier
raw.
Yeah.
So, there's great risk, great reward, but most of the time with a product like that, it's a challenge. Let's move on to one that is not expensive.
Okay.
I refuse to buy it.
What's that?
Donruss Baseball.
Here's the thing about Donruss Baseball. I put it in the same category as I do Topps Big League, right?
Topps Big League is way better.
Well, it's at least licensed. But so the thing about Donruss is this. A hobby box, you're going to hit a bunch of numbered cards. You're going to probably pull 3 or 4 numbered cards. There's still, some people still have a soft spot for the rated rookie. So it's kind of cool to have those. And it is a cheap rip. Like you can get a hobby box of Donruss for $100. If you hit something big, you're going to make money. You're not going to make the same money you would if it was a Topps product. The problem is it's got the typical Panini quality control.
Oh yeah, tell me about that.
There was the Tim Anderson Superfractor got hit the other day. So it's a gold vinyl 1 of 1. It was cut so badly that there was part of another Superfractor on the card. That's how badly it was cut from the factory.
This is one of the few times you don't get to claim error card, and it helps.
No, not at all. I mean, it was bad. I saw the picture of it, and I was like, oh, my God. I saw Vic actually posted a picture of a card that got hit that was a Superfractor, and the corner, it was out of Panini too, and the corner was so mangled, like a 1/4 inch in, just looked like a dog had taken a bite out of it, straight out of the pack that way.
Yeah.
I mean, when a manufacturer stops caring, and when as consumers we continue to give them more and more money, it's never going to get better.
Speaking of quality control,
Right?
big news last week, Backyard Breaks. I'll just say, I don't throw a lot of shade. I can't watch it.
Oh, it's miserable.
I can't watch them. There's so many reasons and I don't know where to start, but mostly because I'm too old.
Also because they basically act and look like they just smoked all the meth before they did the break.
Yeah, but they're making that cocaine money, so
Well, I mean, good
could
for
be
them,
that.
but oh,
But triple logo man, LeBron card was pulled.
shocker that it was a big breaker that hit it.
Yeah,
Who
it's
would've
always
guessed?
that way? It's a big whale. It's the one that a lot of people were chasing. This is what Drake was talking about.
Yep.
Card's going to go for probably $3 to $5 million.
Yep.
Here's the problem I have. I have one problem with a card like
It's
that.
ugly.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
Vintage cards can be ugly because it was your only option.
Right. There's a certain point where the ugly becomes cool.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah, yep.
what year was the top set that all the cards looked like they were in an old console TV? Was it 62?
I know what you're talking about. I can
Those
see the
are
border,
horribly
yeah.
ugly, but they're super cool because they're horribly ugly.
I'm sure my dad will have an answer for us on
Right.
which one that was.
He'll
'Cause
tell
that's
us
his-
exactly what
he's
it
like,
was.
yes,
I
enough
think
of
it
this
was.
new crap. More of the old stuff.
I think it was 62. I think.
Yeah. I think that's a set that he collects.
Okay.
Actually, he has a binder full of it.
Yeah, nice.
Binder, bro. Old school.
Listen, I've bought some sets in binders. They're a lot of times in better condition than sets in boxes.
Oh. I pray you tell. You know what you can't put in binder? 89 Bowman.
They're a half inch too tall.
Screw those guys for doing that. Okay, so this card gets pulled. Massive card. Massive deal for the breakers. There's probably only a few breakers I'd be happy for, honestly. There's a part of you as a collector that anytime a card that big gets pulled, you're like, well, isn't that great?
Well, and there's a certain point where this is one of the things that I struggle with when it comes to breakers. There's 2 or 3 guys that I have personal relationships with that I trust implicitly. But like those guys that hit that, boy, I'm not 100% sure that I trust them to even send it to me. Like you pull that card and it's $3 to $5 million and all they're out is their account on Whatnot and having to issue a refund for the spot and they keep it and disappear forever.
And they've done it.
Well, they did
They
it with
were
that
the
Trevor
same
Lawrence.
ones that did
Yeah, with
that.
that up 10 kaboom. The person ended up getting the card
It worked out well
eventually.
for him. Imagine if they wouldn't have done that.
Well, no, like that was the thing, but that was a card that's like a $20,000 card. This is a $3 to $5 million card.
And they say with that one, we can't give this Trevor Lawrence. I'm sorry, guys. We can't give it away. We can't give it away.
yeah,
With this LeBron, here's the problem I have. That card is dramatically overpriced.
well, for sure, but it's like, how else can you justify
What makes that?
$5,000 a box?
Yeah.
That's some of the values on individual cards in those high end products. I agree completely. They're drastically overpriced. But how else can Panini in any way, shape, or form justify $5,000 for 8 cards?
If you're listening right now, I'm just going to acknowledge we sound like the grumpy old guys in the barbershop.
Because we are the grumpy old guys. In the
I don't think
barbershop.
we've said one positive thing in the
Well-
last 24 minutes.
Well, that's not true. We've said some positive things about card shows and
Oh,
about Topps Tribute, and
Yeah.
but when it comes to some of these skeezy breakers and some of the values and the price points that
Yeah.
Panini puts stuff out at, I don't have a lot of positive things to say. I was buying National Treasures football 3.5 years ago for $700 a box.
yeah. Which is expensive
That was expensive then. It's $4,000 a box now.
for 8 cards.
Yeah.
And there's a high likelihood if you do well, you'll hit for $2,000.
Oh, really well. I've seen a couple of these boxes open that maybe have $400 worth of cards in them.
Yeah. Ridiculous. And that's why some of the old heads in the hobby are just saying, buy what you like.
Yeah, and buy singles.
Collect. So my dad sent me a picture. I think it was this morning I got it. Dave Concepcion autographed. It was Squirt Soda did a card, but he had
Yeah.
autographed it.
Yeah.
And he's like, got it on eBay. It was cheap. I want to do a whole set of this. Like, there's a part of that where
It's awesome.
if you're newer to the hobby, and I got to remind myself of this, what do you like? Go get it.
Yeah.
Like, don't chase the flip on everything.
No.
But the flip can help you afford the hobby.
Right.
So this is our encouragement to you. Don't get so sucked into that we've already talked about being careful with money. We need to do a whole segment on the gambling side of this too. But
Bankroll management.
yeah, but anyway, the card's been pulled. It's cool that it got pulled. It couldn't have happened to a worse. Yeah, I'm throwing shade. I'm so annoyed. It's so obnoxious. My son plays videos and sends me videos all the time where people blow out the microphone yelling,
Yeah.
and I don't know why that's cool because it's not. Now I really sound old.
Well, the one thing I will say about the Backyard Breakers, guys, I think they're skis balls.
Hustling though.
But I do think they hustle hard, and I do think they know their audience. We are not their audience.
We don't have the right credit card for that game.
But they know their audience.
yeah.
And so I guess good for them, but I think they're skeezy, and I wouldn't give them a penny of my money.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. I'm not going to get into their expensive breaks. That's why.
No, I'll get into other people's expensive breaks that I like.
Plus, did you know dudes is wearing a lot of crop tops now?
Well, if I work, sometimes the T-shirts that I own turn
That's a
into
flop
crop
top.
tops. Well, they turn into crop
No,
tops.
crop top is fit person. A flop top,
Oh, I just thought it was muffin top.
tube top, and then you have the case sausage top. That's my work shirts. They put me in a dry fit shirt with an athletic fit. I look like a Jimmy John sausage
You remember
just
those
waiting to
little
pop.
tubes that have like liquid in them, and you like squeeze them, and they like roll up and in and out of your hands? That's what it looks like.
It's so awkward, especially when I reach over my head working on a door. I can feel 18 inches of my body hanging out. And that's below the belt. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Okay.
I was talking about my gut.
Okay. Well, I think we all know that because it wouldn't have applied otherwise.
Okay, anyway, let's move right along. I'm so uncomfortable right now. I feel fat shamed by myself. So NBA news. We're not going to talk about a whole lot, but we are going to talk about Joker getting another MVP. And I want to do just this little segment before we finish up today talking about bigs worth buying. So Joker hits for another MVP. He's a freaking beast.
Right.
It's established. But it just had me thinking about other bigs in the NBA, how they've done hobby-wise. Are they undervalued? What can you buy them for? So we're going to kind of look back. We're not going super far back. We're going to look back. Moses Malone would be the oldest one that we're going to take a look at today.
Probably, yeah.
But what are they selling for? Are they undervalued? Are they worth buying? Just because Joker is not that guard or shooting guard and plays these positions that we see a lot of hype around.
Well, can we talk about the fact that we've currently, in our current NBA, we've got a situation that nobody has seen in a really long time, which is that two of the probably top 6 players in the league are relatively slow, somewhat unathletic white dudes from Europe. You got Luka and you got Jokic. And when you watch them play, it is a study in basketball IQ. Neither one of them is going to blow anybody away. They're not going to run past anybody. They're not going to go through anybody. They're just going to make you look silly and, kill it. That's totally aside to what you were headed to, but
Yeah. So right now with Joker, we pulled up just a couple of numbers. Current, there's a little bit of excitement. He just got the MVP, so obviously some of the sold prices are going to be a little bit higher. But just taking a look at his base rookie PSA 10, we're looking at Prism with NBA in this era. His base Prism is averaging out around 650. You can see a couple of them around that 550 mark.
sum up around 8.
Yeah, around 8. So 650, somewhere in that range is where he's at. Right now, here's what surprised me. You were pulling up numbers.
Yep.
Luka base Prism PSA 10 right now, 350ish.
Yeah, 350 to 4. Yep.
That surprised me.
Well, so there's two things to keep in mind with that. One, the population on Luka-based Prism rookies is literally almost 10 times the population on Jokic Prism rookies.
Yeah.
Part of that is print run related, and part of that is just people submitted a crap ton.
And who was
of
excited
Luka.
about Joker right out of the gates? Let's be
Nobody.
honest.
It took him
Yeah.
3 years, maybe 4 years to become. I mean, people forget until 2 years ago. Well, he won his first MVP 2 years ago. So 3 years ago, he was out of shape. He weighed 45 pounds more than he does now. He plodded up and down the court. Yeah, there was some skill there, and people noticed it, but it wasn't. He hadn't committed to being a great player.
So, in the hobby,
Yep.
when you're talking about long holds, players that are special, when you see them develop into that,
Yeah.
because all of us have been burned. You know,
Yep.
I still got that Zion. Nobody's asking to trade, right?
He looked pretty good. Did you see the highlights
Yeah,
of him from
I
at
did,
Duke the other day? He
I'm
looked
not
pretty
selling
good.
it. I'm
No,
hanging
hang on.
I'm hanging on a little longer. What if? Well, it's paperclip's over, but hypothetically, what if that card ended up like 4 or 5xing where it was?
Well, it very well could. The thing about a guy like – so here's the thing about NBA that people forget. There's always hype right out of the gate after a draft class, and that applies to
All
bigs.
sports.
Yeah, but one of the things about bigs, since we're talking specifically about bigs, is when a big gets drafted first overall, you should, in my opinion, you should absolutely not go buy their
It's
stuff.
a wait. It's a wait and see.
If you hit their stuff and you really believe in them, unless it's something that you can just smash some money on right out of the gate, hang on to it, but don't go buy it. And here's why. It takes bigs, for the most part, in the modern NBA, about 3 to 4 years to figure out whether they're going to be injury prone and whether they're going to develop into a floor spacing big. If you're not a floor spacing big, there's not much from a hobby standpoint that's going to happen. And really from an NBA just relevant standpoint, DeAndre Ayton, when he was drafted first overall in 2018, he was a no-brainer number 1 overall pick. Like everybody agreed. But every single year of his career, his average has gone down a little bit. His rebounding average has gone up a little bit. And I think he's settled into what he is, which is a guy who's going to play about 80% of the games. He's going to be hurt about 20% of the time. He's going to average 12 or 13 points, and he's going to average 8 to 10 rebounds. That's a really solid long-term NBA player. He's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's not anything along those lines. So Jokic was the same way. It took about 4 years to figure out who he was, and he's turned into what he is. So historically, it makes you stop and think, what older all-time Hall of Fame, like all-time great bigs might be worth picking up.
So we're avoiding some of the obvious. We're not talking Bill Russell. We're not talking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
His rookie card was
Lou
Lou
Alcindor,
right?
The values are there. The values are established. But if we fast forward the clock just a little bit, we're looking at some all-time greats, and I just want to play a little game where I'm going to say the player, say what they're going for right now, and say, is it undervalued or right on or overvalued?
Okay.
First one up, David Robinson, one of my favorite bigs to watch growing up, probably because of my age, but special player. You can get his Hoop Series 1 PSA 10 for about $425-ish right now.
Yep.
What are you thinking on that one?
I think it's probably valued appropriately, but should go up over time. My play for him would be to buy 9s and 9.5s if you can find them, because you're going to probably be able to buy a PSA 9 for around $100, 125. You're going to be able to buy a BGS 9.5 for probably $150, $160.
Okay.
And if you can snag those and maybe even think about crossovers, especially on BGS 9.5s, that's a solid play.
Yeah.
And it's a card, again, that you're not flipping. You're going to buy and hold. And
Although I will say this, maybe not a flip, but the San Antonio fan base that's a massive collector base.
no, it is.
So it is a guy where if you invest and you're trying to free something up later and you're not super attached, Robinson's a great one to hold. Get all your money back. You basically get to rent the slab for free.
Right. Well, as I say, and in general, the thing about these type of guys is their values aren't going to go down unless the entire market crashes.
And it'd have to be a pretty hard crash. At this
It
point.
would. Yep.
Next, little guy named Shaquille O'Neal. Here's an interesting one. So, we're getting into the 90s now on rookie cards. For him, everybody considers the top's gold, to be the rookie. But there is a base that most of us have. That's the one I have.
Right.
That's the one I hit. But the PSA 10 of the base is $150. That seems so cheap to me. It's a base rookie. Yes, there's the gold is an SP.
Yeah.
So a base rookie of not only one of the all-time greats, but someone who is relevant culturally still today.
Yeah.
People follow him. They follow what happens to his life. He's very likable. Investment-wise, I think that's kind of a no-brainer. A PSA 10 at $150 of this guy.
Yeah.
Trade-off. We're in the middle and the height of the junk wax.
Well, and the big trade-off, 92, 93 basketball, when Shaquille O'Neal came out, was the year that they turned the presses to overdrive because they knew this is a generational guy. And one of the things that I think a lot of younger people don't get.
Listen up, you young
And when I say
idiots.
younger people, I mean people who were like in elementary school in that period of time or younger.
That's me.
Shaquille O'Neal, for about a 6 or 7 year window, was the most dominant two-way player I have ever seen. And I include Michael Jordan in that. He couldn't do all the things Michael Jordan could do, but the things that things that he could do, there was nobody like him.
Yep.
I heard Rudy Gobert the other day was talking about if he had played when Shaq was playing, he could have shut Shaq down. And it made me chuckle. And then I heard Shannon Sharp talking about it. And you know how Shannon Sharp over the top with everything.
Gobert shut the league down.
He was like, Rudy Gobert doesn't understand what Shaquille O'Neal would have done to him. He would have hung at least 40 on him.
Yep.
And probably made him cry.
Yeah.
Because Shaquille O'Neal could just – people look at Shaq now. He's a huge human. But, man, when he was in his peak, his rookie year until probably year 3 with the Lakers, this cat was 7'2", 300 pounds, and 7% body fat.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that
That's
for a
a genetic
minute.
freak.
That's insanity. Yep. And he just destroyed humans. He coined the term point center. He would go coast to coast after a rebound through people and shatter backwards.
Yeah. It happened. Now, the leap from the base to the gold.
It's like 5.5 times.
Yeah, so the
Oh, more
gold
than
is
that.
1,200 to 1,500 at a 10.
Yeah.
I like the gold as somebody nostalgically that likes Shaq. I'd buy an 8. I'd buy a 9 of the gold. That's definitely
you're
worth
probably going to
hanging
be
on.
in the $500 to $600 range on an 8. I think that if you're buying to hold long term, you can't really go wrong with either, but you're going to see the most return on the golds. One of the things that's happened to the base in the last couple years is people have been buying up that old wax and subbing it.
Yeah.
And the golds were printed about 1/10
Yep.
Of the amount of the base.
And here's the sad thing too. There's probably still
Massive
massive
hundreds of thousands of
submissions
cases. Well, there's
that are
and just raw
sitting
cases
there,
sitting in shops and in storage units.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm still finding packs of that. Remember, just recently I was local and I was like, "Hey, man, this seems like a steal," and it was.
I
It
was
a
like, buy it
buck a
all.
piece.
Buy all of it.
I bought every one of them. Didn't hit anything cool, but I mean, that goes in $17. So,
Yeah. I've got a gold Alonzo Mourning rookie from that year.
Ooh.
I don't know if that matters for much. But
All right, let's move on to one that you were personally excited about, and I am too young to remember very well.
Yep.
Moses Malone.
the most underrated center all time in the history of the league, in my opinion.
Wow.
He was boring.
Sign me up.
He was 100% boring, but this cat over a 20-year career averaged like 24, 12, and 5.
Yeah.
And he won a couple of MVPs, won a couple of titles. They were all in the early 80s. He was kind of thick. He wasn't super athletic, but he was the first dude to get drafted number 1 overall out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was the one that kind of set that whole path into motion. And from the day he stepped on the court, he was a man among boys.
Yep.
Played 20 years and like I said, in my opinion, the most underrated dude ever. Now, his rookie card is 75 tops.
Which, when you start getting into the vintage stuff, condition is much harder to come by.
10s. I couldn't even find any sold 10s.
The 8.
Yeah,
the
8's
was
what,
at
1,200?
No, 8 was 300.
300.
A 9 immediately jumps to 1,100.
Yeah. Okay. So, and that means a 10 is probably going to be $3,000 to $4,000, which is still less than Akeem in a 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue that Moses Malone was just as dominant as Akeem was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I grew up watching him play, so
It's like we're getting bored talking about the bigs.
a little
You know
bit.
what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, one more before we wrap up. Akeem Olajuwon. So a PSA 9 of his rookie stuff, 86 Fleer.
Yep.
The set to have. PSA 9 650, a 10 is $5K.
Yep.
So with a guy like him, if you are a risk taker, there's a little hustle called crossovers where you take a card that's graded a 9 or a 9.5, like a 9.5 BGS. You try to send it off to PSA to see if it's a 10. There might be a play there when I'm looking at the gap going from 650 to 5K. This is a high risk. You've already heard Gary's opinion on PSA grading. It's a little bit of a crapshoot. If you're going to do it, I would almost say do it in a group sub with somebody that's been doing it for a long time, spending a lot of money.
I would even say that there's not a terrible play, again, because of this is my opinion of PSA. I don't think they know the difference between a 9 and a 10 on their grading scale.
Jeez.
I don't. Look at the cards they grade and tell me that they know the difference between a 9 and a 10. It's the mood of the grader that day.
Yeah.
And when in the day they got your card. If they got it at the beginning of the day when they just had their coffee, it's going to get examined more. If you get it 8 hours,
speculating
8
so
hours,
hard.
8 hours into their shift, who the hell knows what you're going to end up with? My point being, I'm not so sure you couldn't find a PSA 9 and the underlying card. Forget the label. Just look at the card inside the slab.
Mm-hmm.
If it looks super clean, buy the 9, crack that, and resub it.
So, circle back. The big question is this. Is Joker's value currently undervalued, on point, or overvalued?
I think that he's probably a little bit undervalued in the great grand scheme of things, and here's why. He currently has the same number of MVPs as David Robinson. He has the same number of MVPs as Hakeem Olajuwon. The only thing he's missing is titles. Now, Denver has a ton of talent if it can ever be healthy at the same time.
Yep.
If you can have a year where Joker and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are all healthy and Aaron Gordon is in a complementary role, that's a scary team.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think titles are out the window for Denver. But when you look at his base prism, and I would say this, I'm fairly certain, and I haven't looked up the pop numbers, but my guess is the pop on Joker's base prism is probably equal to or less than the pop on Olajuwon's 86 Fleer rookie.
We will have research for you next week.
And I would say that the print run on 2015 Prism was way less than the print run on 86 Fleer. So all those things, keeping them in mind and keeping in mind that Joker plays basketball very differently than those guys did, he's kind of a unicorn. He's what
I'd
they
agree.
thought Kristaps Porzingis was going to be.
Yeah.
He's what we thought he was going to be.
I agree. I think he's going to continue to improve, which he's already excellent, and that the value will go up.
He's the best passer in the
I'd
league.
love to see him kind of shift the narrative a little bit for big guys, just like some of these defensive players in the NFL we talked about.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that happen for them, like Aaron Donald and some of these others. Quite frankly, I have to go use the restroom, so we've got to finish the episode.
Okay.
I had to do it during the episode last time. Once again, my bladder is controlling what's happening.
That's okay.
We're 44 minutes in. It's been a great episode. Go buy all the bigs. Invest heavily in
Don't
Yao
buy
Ming.
Greg Oden or Yao
Greg
Ming.
Oden, Yao Ming, Dwight Howard, and you'll be set.
Dwight Howard's had a shockingly underrated overall career.
No, I'm not going to get into that one with you because I have to pee.
Okay.
This has been the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
We'll see you later.
Peace.